What?
Not really. I'm here to do what you should be doing.
Yeah? Please take this out of my mouth. I'm going to have you escorted up for security.
All right. Do that.
What about you? What about you?
But you're at a synagogue. Why did you come to a synagogue if it's not about Jews?
You find Palestine. More criminals in there.
How would you feel if Jews went to a mosque?
Shame on you. Shame on you for conflating the two.
Why are you talking about anti-Semitism when you're not Jewish?
Because I've been impacted by anti-Semitism.
Are you a Jew?
No, people think I am, and I've been called a fucking Jew and had someone threaten to kick my ass because they thought I was Jewish, so it's impacted me as well. We are not anti-Semitic.
Are you listening to yourself?
Yes.
I don't know, but this guy's going to get punched out.
I just got threatened by the head of news and programming of CNBC. Are you serious?
That's him there.
Why do you think you deserve so much power? Hey, Abbie, Mini. Should I be scared now? Don't push me, bro. What? What are you getting violent for, man? I could push just like you can, man. Look at these thugs. They fund wars around the world and then you question them. They try not only to intimidate you, but physically assault you. Jacinta, we understand it's easier to run away, but what would you say to the Jewish community for them to believe that you could keep them safe since you failed them for a year and a half? Look at that. Look at, what are you doing? Why are you blocking my way, mate? Jacinta, why are you running away from the tough question? Why are you running away? Like a coward. No Jew can believe you're going to keep him safe. You came for a photo op. Oh, excuse me. Come here. Do you want to tell us? Do you want to tell us why you're so upset with me?
You can go get f***ed.
Just like shouting at Jews.
Get the f*** out of my face.
But you're the one that shouted at me.
And you ran after me. F*** off.
I like to talk to people who scream at me.
I don't talk to Zionists.
You mean Jews? Just say it. Say what you feel.
Yeah, okay.
Say what you feel. Don't be so scared.
I'm not scared. I'm scared of you.
Hey,
Who come and approach? Who come and approach?
Mate,
I'm
this
gonna
is-
fucking get you.
You're gonna what?
I'm gonna fucking get you.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do?
Leave.
What are you gonna do? to me?
Leave.
What are you gonna
Leave.
do?
Hey, don't touch
are you gonna
it.
do
You
to me?
came my way. You f off. You
What are you gonna
understand?
do?
You came my way.
Stay out of the camera, why?
Well out. Show you? You want me to show you?
Get him up.
Can you tell us why you're still wearing a mask? Is that for COVID or to like protect your identity? Touch my...
Do not choke me.
Look at her. So she's the victim now. She's the victim. Look at the victim. Is there a big Antifa in Switzerland?
I'm definitely an anti-fascist, but this is not a movement. You should also be an anti-fascist. I really hope for you you are, because otherwise you should get educated and ask.
I don't like fascists, but Antifa, I don't know about here, but around the world generally are pretty fascist themselves.
Oh my God, get informed. That's not true.
Just be a little bit more respectful.
Who are you?
A federal president.
What? Hold on. If you think that's disrespectful, you have not seen my content, because that's like the most respectful I've ever been. Monique, you're known for your honesty, integrity, and all that. Where's your husband today? Is he got any of those core flutes? Well, it's disrespectful to make up excuses and then walk away. I waited here all the way till the end when you had no excuses left. How do you look in the mirror and see an independent? I just want to know
That's
why
right.
you're wearing
Exactly.
an Antifa.
To make a statement
And what's that
that
statement?
we have to be anti-fascist.
And what is a fascist?
All of thinking.
And what's a fascist?
It depends. It's somebody right-wing populist that is willing to oppress other people. In regarding this thing, it's not anymore the discussion for me in all the context, the anti-fascist discussion, as it was in the Second World War.
What about extreme left wing? Can they be fascist?
Fascist not, because I think in the definition, but they can be extremist and they can be also
Can't be fascist?
fascist. No, it's like
Fascist is
I never met somebody who.
Can you give me the definition of fascism?
I mean, it depends, as I told you. For me, it
I don't
depends.
think you know what fascism means. Are you going to be taking questions, Prime Minister? Or is this just a photo op between tennis games? Are you not ashamed of what you've done in the last couple of years? If any other product in the world doesn't work, it's got to fade out. We've got to do the fade.
Benji still hasn't added me to the highlights. I need to speak to Benji.
Yeah, get Benji to fix it up. This is ridiculous. It's like, let me fix
It's been
up
a few
the
weeks now, Benji. I'm suspecting there's something else going here, Benji.
foul play.
For reasons we haven't, some sort of foul play. Oh yeah, you can adjust my camera.
Yeah, I'll get you.
But welcome back, everyone, to the Opposition podcast. We're back for another week. How you going, Abbie?
Yeah, good. You, mate?
Yeah, doing good. Bit tired, but you know, it is what it is. I enjoy doing these podcasts, so it's good to be back in the Opposition.
Bit of housekeeping before we start. Welcome to the show, everyone, friends and foe. Good to have you on this lovely Tuesday evening. Whether you're here to join in with us or against us, we support your attendance. But remember, this show is only possible with you guys at home. So hit the like button, help the algorithm pick it up, and share it on whatever platform you're on. Share the link to encourage others to join this growing community that we have. We have about 1,000 with us now. So looking forward to seeing what numbers we get tonight thanks to you. You can get involved in the chats. That's what you're seeing scrolling below us here. That's one side is my YouTube. The one below me is my YouTube. The other one is Rukshan's YouTube. Post a comment in the chat. It will feature up there. But if you want us to read your chat out, a feature chat, make sure to hit a super chat. And that also supports us and helps us run this live stream. We actually got one now, so we'll show you what it's like because one of our regulars, Baz, is in the house. Are you able to read today, or are you still struggling?
I can read small messages. You know, it's just a bit hard on the laptop screen to read the long ones, but I can read Baz's.
Go.
Hey mate, hey lads, hi chat. Yeah, Baz is very popular, not just with us for the super chats, but also with the community as well. I saw people in the chat stream on YouTube saying hello to Baz, so he's building his own little following.
Baz, it turns out Baz really is a dark horse. Baz, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for your support as usual. And everybody, those of you that have been here for the last few weeks, remember there is a tax to be in on the stream with Baz. Make sure to hit that Bazia tax.
That's right.
And I think we can get straight into what's making news, unless you want to tell us what you've been up to. What have you been up to?
Well, I'm back here in Canberra, so it's another week of Parliament here. So just watching the what happens in the country, you know, at the high level as an observer, up close. It's quite interesting being up here. But I actually wanted to bring up with you, Avi, because you know the other day we did do a live stream together where we crossed in from the studio. I crossed into you. You're covering the Christian rally or the gathering at Fitzroy Gardens, and there's been a lot of conjecture and conspiracy theories around yourself, mainly me, just because of what happened at that particular rally. Can you give some insight into what people have said?
So basically what happened was...
What you make of it all.
Yeah, so basically what day was the rally? Sunday, Nick Patterson's rally. So Friday night, Shabbat dinner, the Mossad hosted you, me, and Nick Patterson. Joel Davis apparently was there too, and the African Nazi guy was also there. And basically, we just planned it all, and it's just no. What you saw, the thing is, I didn't even understand. Like, we actually live streamed the whole kind of day, so you can see that. Like, I've seen people say, "Oh, that was set up," or that. The way that I pulled down the guy's jacket, like I knew it was there. I was like, yeah.
Well, this is the thing, right? So that day, on that live stream day, everyone put up different, ideas on that, saying, "Oh, look what Avi did. He set it up. He put the slip down." The next day, when you released your video, obviously a lot of them retracted. I've even seen retractions online because that your video showed that he actually walked into that space. That black, so-called Nazi wannabe walked into the space and actually showed you the Hail Hitler and the symbol that was on his shirt. So, a lot of people jump to conclusions while watching a live stream, not realizing that there are other moments that are being captured as well that people don't necessarily see on the one camera angle. I think it's a good lesson for everyone, don't jump to conclusions.
Yeah, and you know what? I think, especially at the moment, it's become so obvious that people want a certain outcome, that they just, they may suspect it, but they jump to the conclusion and they know exactly how it all panned out. And sometimes it just is the way it plays out on the camera. It's just like, yeah, like in COVID, we couldn't. What do you think? Do you know what? There were people that were also saying that we were setting up COVID as well. So I'm not surprised. Obviously, around this specific issue and the rise of the anti-Jew stuff. So there is a massive online kind of push to elevate whatever group is hating on the Jews.
So I did see some of these so-called Christians that were promoting the event. They were later commenting afterwards, saying that they were upset that they were Jews on the stage in solidarity with the Christians. Like, that's what they were upset about. And if they had known that Jews were going to be there, they would have never come to support their Christian faith. I mean, this is insane commentary from people who
look. In reality, I'll tell you the truth. On the ground, in reality, 95% of the people there were good, decent Christians who walked up to me, were like, we'll get, I don't know what you caught in the moment, but a lot of people walking up, getting photos, shaking hands, saying, man, so good to have this here. We need more of this. Really there for the core reasons of it. The people that follow Nick Patterson also know he's not about the Nazi nonsense. And in fact, he called me today and said to me, dude, I knew it was bad out there. I didn't realize how bad it is. And now he kind of realizes what his fight is going to be now, because these guys have now turned him into a target. When Nick actually approached this all very differently, he came from a very Christian position. In the long form video, you could see him explain that he didn't even care if there were Nazis who came to listen to what was going on, because he was hoping from his Christian position that he was going to evangelize them and to kind of hopefully change their mind. But the minute that changed for him was when he realized that there was this little game they were playing. It turns out, after doing research after the fact, the black guy is a known, like, it's weird to say, he's like a white supremacist. He calls himself a white supremacist. He's been interviewed by pretty high-profile international white supremacists that are very interconnected with that same group of Joel Davis. So he wasn't just making something up. I can't even remember his name. You can look him up. It's actually not that hard to find him, because when I found him just by looking up Australian, African white supremacists, there's not that many of them. He did a interview with a neo-Nazi in England, a long form, and you realise the guy is like, he's not all there. His IQ is not even 100, not even close to 100. He's in the double digits, and like, even that whole interview, I watched it just to understand, try to get this person, and you see the interviewer, who's this like well-known, again, a bit like Joel, connected with that group. Self-proclaimed white supremacists. I saw people getting triggered that we were calling them Nazis. That's what's so funny to me. People online getting triggered that we were calling them Nazis, saying Rebel News is now left wing because they're calling them. It's like, dude, they're self-proclaimed Nazis. It's not like I'm.
Yeah, I mean, these guys put up photos of themselves celebrating Hitler's birthday. They love the Nazi ideology, and they, like you said, self-confess, and they're very proud of it.
It's in fact, when you see when you see Nick calling them Nazis to their face, they don't deny it because they know they're Nazis. They just think that everyone else should be Nazis, basically, yeah. So there was that connection, and they're playing a little game. It was like a stunt. They're there to recruit. At one point, you can hear him talking about that they use these things to through COVID they were recruiting. At a lot of the protests. That's what they do. They go to these things not to listen, not to be there in good faith to support the issue or support the community. It's really there to try gain more people to their disgusting, vile cause. And you know what? The silver lining from it all is that it opened the eyes of the organisers of the event, who are true Christians, who really believe in their faith, who are about all the real Christian messages, and now it's opened their eyes to the vile cancer that spread after COVID, and a lot of it was kicked off by that so-called freedom movement, where different people took advantage of it, including that whole group there. I remember I used to see them at the COVID protests. They were like a fringe of the fringe, and I saw through COVID their group growing, towards the end. It was wild to witness. I never thought it would get to the point that it got to now. But it was a culmination of COVID, and then they had the perfect storm of the war in Gaza, and so they're just using people's naivety, ignorance, people's genuine anger and upset. They're taking advantage of people. Anyways, it was a really nice day, to be honest. Like I said, 95% of people there were fantastic, sweet. The older lady that I put her video up today, that was most of the crowd was like that. It was genuine, real people.
I've come to this, this position, I think, unfortunately for right-wing movements in Victoria, even sensible right or conservative movements in Victoria. These guys, tend to be bad news. Whenever they turn up, you are going to get labelled as far-right, neo-Nazi adjacent. And it doesn't help that these individuals themselves have portrayed themselves in this manner by antagonizing all types of people, and obviously, with their racism, the fact that they espouse, real hatred towards certain groups of people in our society, particularly the Jewish community at the moment. So when they come to your events, it's always going to be about them. And that's kind of what happened at this event as well. And this is not the end of it. They are known for gate crashing. They are known for trying to hijack events. And sadly, I think for the right in Victoria, this particular group is always going to bring your movement down and, steal your message. And it's up to people like Nick Patterson.
And it's not because they're innocent. It's because they're 100% guilty. They are they tell you who they are. So unless you want to be associated to that, you need to get rid of them. And you know what? In this case, the only clip any of the mainstream media ran on that event was them being kicked out. And I can guarantee you, because they knew they were there, I guarantee you, if they hadn't have kicked them out, the only clip you would have seen across all mainstream media would have been Nazis rallying. And it would have painted... probably wouldn't have even the Christian message. They would say they're Nazis rallying, and that would have painted everyone there as Nazis. Listen, if you want to be little Nazi fanboys, go do it in your own space. That was the problem there. That was not the time or place. In fact, it wasn't my time and place. That's why people are asking why, when I saw it, did I go and get Nick? Because it was his event. It was his right to let them stay or kick him out. When I saw he wanted to kick him out, I was going to back him 100% because I totally agree. Obviously agree. I don't like Nazis. Surprise, surprise. I don't like Nazis. And I think he handled it like a pro. And it's just, it's funny to see. It's also funny to see we've put up these little short clips, one on TikTok's now going off. And to see people pivot their little support messages. But it was a really nice event. And I think there is a silver lining, like I said, that it's woken up some of these Christians like Nick and the organisers. The organisers are great. You had also Paul Furlong, if you remember, who was one of the bravest people during the COVID period. He actually sat in jail over opening his church. It was one of the only churches. He was the only church, I think, that actually opened up in defiance, at least publicly opened up in defiance. You had one of his evangelical preachers. He was great. And obviously, you have Nick, who we know very well, at least viewers here and Rebel, because we've kind of followed his story through COVID until now. He's doing a lot of great work, and I'm glad that he got a taste of the kind of vitriol that's currently out there in the community that we have to fight, because that's kind of the spiritual fight. And you know what else? I've been watching, I've got to say, you got me on that show, The Chosen.
Oh, The Chosen, that's a good show.
I feel like I'm cheating. It's very interesting.
The Chosen's good.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously I learned the story from a Jewish perspective young, and the Jew perspective goes really up until one point. But one of the things that I remember as a kid in thing is that he, because the Jewish narrative was never that it wasn't that he didn't perform miracles, but it was that he did the miracles because this is just by memory, so don't quote me. Like I was the worst student, especially at
When you
Jewish
say
student.
he, you're talking about
Jesus.
you're talking about Jesus. when you
Jesus,
say
that
he,
he, that the way he, so they, what I found interesting is because I'm watching the show and you're seeing all the miracles he did and all that, the miracles he performed, and the way it got explained as in Jewish school, from what my memory, so any rabbis out there, don't bloody fact check me. This is what I remember between being kicked out of classes, was that he, like, because when you went into the temple, you got everyone knew God's name, and then he would carve it in his arm, and then when he left, he would know God's true name, and then he was able to perform miracles. I was like, just like the Jewish name. But it was really interesting to me, because to me, I'm like thinking, oh, well, they never actually, it doesn't contradict that he did the miracles. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got two opposing narratives, and they both agree that he did miracles. From what I remember, Rabbi, if you're watching this and I'm getting it wrong, just text me and I'll straighten everything up next week. But that's what I remember. Anyways, we're diverging. I am really enjoying the show. I think.
Look, I think I'm close to converting you. Maybe bring you over to the Christian side.
Maybe I can't get baptized in Jerusalem. We're going to go next year. You coming to Israel with me?
I will be coming to Israel. Yes, so we will be in Israel.
Can we tell everyone we got 2 planned trips for next year? Oh no, is it next year and the year after, or we're going to do them both next year?
Well, let's see how we go. Yeah,
let's see how we go.
Going to Israel.
We're going to do Israel and then Sri Lanka. So we're gonna
video it all,
vlog it and
tour,
stream it and whatever. But there may be a baptism in there or something. There's stuff happening, right? Not with me, guys. Chill out. I'm not converted, but I am finding the show really good. The only thing that annoys me on that show is I don't like the fake accent they put on. Like, it just seems like they're acting really hard, which is so annoying, because when you watch House of David, is that House of David? Yeah,
yes. It's
House
very
of
different. Yeah.
Yeah, House of David, I like the style's so much better. They've just got, it doesn't sound like they're putting on this freaking accent, and they're also not trying to talk in modern English. I get what they're trying to do from an artistic point of view. Like in Chosen, they're trying to make Jesus relevant, the story of Jesus relevant to today, whereas House of David's trying to more give you the story of the time.
Yeah.
But it is a good show. I am enjoying it, and I recommend both of them. I think that
you guys can, I think, watch it on Prime. They're very available on Prime, guys. We're actually promoting shows randomly, the things that we watch, but it's available on Prime. The Chosen and House of David, and The Chosen, you can actually get the app for free online.
Yeah, I tried to find it. It didn't work.
You can watch all the episodes. So
I couldn't find it. I don't know
if it's available on Apple, but on Android it's there.
No, I thought you said a TV. It's on the TV apps.
The TV, yeah, Android TV. So you can.
I went on Android TV. I couldn't find the Chosen app. Anyway, technical support hasn't been here in a while. All right, let's read these super chats and get into the stories, because we still haven't even started the show. This was just like a little warm up, guys. Because it's been so good, make sure to like, comment, get involved in the chats, and share the stream. We got 2,443 with us. Good evening, all. Let's read a couple super chats before we go on.
Byron, thanks for the super chat, mate. Paying the Baz Jizya. Shalom, Rukshan and Avi. Yes, you're doing the right things, mate.
Good. That's what we like.
That Jizya.
I was calling it the Bazia, so we're not making it like all. So it's more politically correct.
Of course. Jimmo, thanks again, mate. You always chip in there with your super chats when you join the show. Thanks so much,
yeah,
mate.
Jimmo throws in a super chat of $7.99 and then comes back with a comment at some point. Love you, Jimmo. Baz,
thanks again, mate. Does the plan include the space laser RV?
What plan was it? Oh, the plan. The plan. Yes, 100%. The plan of the day that we set up on Friday night with the Mossad. Yes. I love when people call me Mossad. I'm like, I'm the worst Mossad agent. Like, Mossad agents would be quiet. I'm the loudmouth Mossad agent.
Baslin Benny, thanks again. Thanks for the super chat. I think Baslin, it's the first time I've seen a super chat from you, mate. Thank you.
Welcome to the community, the super chat community. That's our really loved community. The rest of you we often neglect.
Sam, thanks for the super chat. People see what they want to see. That's so true. So, people will look at any kind of incident and ascribe all types of interpretations of it. But I think with a lot of things, it's good to wait a little bit of time before you jump the gun. What do you reckon, Avi?
Yeah,
it's
I
hard in
agree.
these modern days. Like people kind of come up with their own,
I totally agree.
I've been guilty of that sometimes. So
look, and all I'll say to that as well is that, people see what they want to see. When we make a lot of this content, I love the engagement from my close supporters. That's why I like the super chat group, the people really that are following closely and supporting. But really, who am I making the content for? It's for the average person who isn't locked into a position. We're trying to convince people, to show people what's really going on. So I think like when you get the whole long video, online and in real life too, there's a lot of hatred out there. There's a lot, but the vast majority of people aren't really there. And we're trying to show people what's actually happening. Yes, it's absolutely growing. The fringe right, even the fringe left, both sides have really exploded. But we're just trying to reach the average middle, even if they're slightly left, slightly right, just to show them so they can see, like, dude, there's Africans now walking around proudly white supremacizing for actual white supremacists that are trying to use events to, that's it. Who cares? All the rest of it is noise. The rest of it is noise. There we go. Go read that one.
Pilgrim, thanks for the super chat. I'm Israel High. Yeshua Hamashai will come again, brother. So well?
So I'm Israel Chai. That's that you say that every time. That's how we start our Mossad meetings. Yeshua Mashiach. That means Jesus the Messiah. So this is somebody that's actually Christian, not, or they might be Messianic Jew, but they're because that's what I don't understand. Like, do all Christians, or do all Christians think Jesus is God, or that he's just the Messiah, or is that like is there a split in the?
I don't think there's variations in the interpretation, but they don't think particularly as Jesus as God himself. So, but you could connect to God through Jesus,
like the
he's
Trinity,
the way to Jesus.
So the Trinity is
the Holy Spirit. I mean, there's that aspect of it as well, but
that's Catholic, yeah. Or is the Trinity just Catholic?
It's more of a Catholic thing, the Holy Spirit, for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, all roads lead to God, but you have to get to God. You go through Jesus, but technically, in a way, being the Son of God, Jesus is a representation of God.
Is he the Messiah? Do you think he's the Messiah?
Well, I mean, he's a fulfillment of that. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's a fulfillment of that prophecy.
Yeah. Because the difference between the Jews and really Christians then is, besides the whole New Testament, but in point in time is Jews believe the Messiah is still coming, and Christians believe the Messiah came, he's just returning. Correct? Like Jesus is meant to return, and that's in that's in end times or whatever, or
Revelations. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
All right. Rabbi, chill out. I'm not converting. I'm just interested. It's interesting to me, right? Jeez. All right. Let's go. A couple more super chats. We're gonna do super chats all night, guys. If you want.
Yeah, Abbie, thanks for the super chat. Was the couple that Daniel took down with the Nazis? Okay, that's a question for you. I didn't see it.
No. So the couple that were, and I know a lot of people like online and go, "Oh, you harass him." It's like, what you didn't capture and what we probably didn't show enough is that lady walked past me 5 times, like screaming different stuff at me while I was, while I was like talking when we weren't filming, and then the time that she was there from a distance, I thought, all right, I'm just going to chase her. But what I found out, what we found out later, when you watch the 60 minutes, the 60 minutes expose on that group, the Nazis, the hidden camera footage is of that guy. So he's part of that group. So, having said that, I think that lady tires herself, because I remember seeing them two at a lot of the freedom stuff. He was one also that I think confronted me back in COVID, the guy, for being a Jew. So they're 100% part of the whole Nazi group. And I just thought it was funny how Daniel just dealt with them. But like, the thing is, I don't know why people just I go around starting, like the people that are saying that, I guess they're sympathetic to people that hate me. But it's like, on that day, if you watch the footage, I interviewed probably, I don't know, 10 people, 15, 20 people, I don't know. Great conversations in it on. There's still like, we're putting out a bunch of smaller videos of just those great, beautiful interactions. It's these couple that obviously go viral because like this lady's screaming crazy stuff. And then I question her about it. Then her husband comes in, attacks, gets taken down while the other one's taken, like it's exciting TV. And it kind of shows Daniel's spectacular, like just the way he operates. I'm just standing there going, whoa, what's going on? And then he just goes into his full tirade against Jews, because I knew that's what was interesting for me then, is like they use Zionist, and then he just went straight in for the Jews. And then after the fact, I learned he was part of that 60-minute thing that they did on that particular group. He was part of it. He was in the hidden camera footage. Yeah. Varen's got the Bazia tax. Yes, that's. I like the Bazia tax. I think we should call it the Bazia tax. Bazia tax, guys. You know you have to. It's not even a question anymore. Yeah, thoughts to Tommy. Thoughts on Tommy. So there's a video. I don't know if we can bring it up.
Was he someone tried to jump him? And
he was. Look, like I spoke to the team this morning. I haven't spoken to Tommy himself yet. I think the problem is for Tommy Robinson is that generally, they're in his experience, when most of us I've been in a bunch of situations where Daniel's jumped in self-defense, or even on my behalf or on our behalf, whatever, and it's been fine. And then we walk away and it's all cool. Tommy's had those similar experiences, but ended up getting nicked and taken to court. And a lot of, even if you get off at the end, especially with his history, bail means probably jail. There's no real bail, so he'll be remanded. And the process itself is the punishment. And there's such a huge establishment behind, whether it's in the media or the political class or whatever, even people supposedly on his side, like they have Nigel Farage or whatever, that feed this thing that he's actually guilty before being innocent, that he knows that unless I spoke to the team and they said there's CCTV there. It's going to show that the guy came up to him. So for those of you who haven't seen on X, there's footage that kind of went viral this morning, and I confirmed it with the team, of a guy knocked out in a train station in the UK, and Tommy's going, he came up, like you can hear him. I can't, what did he say exactly on it? I'll just quote him. You go look at it. I'm just worried about bringing it up on screen because there is a guy knocked out and it also has Tommy in it. So different platforms might have different problems with it. But let me just... oh gosh, I've posted a lot today. Oh, here we go. So he came at me. He came at me. So he's basically telling the security that because you got the guy lying on the floor. So he's been knocked out, and Tommy's like, he's come at me. So I know, So the team is saying that the CCTV is going to show that he came to him, and I know Tommy well. Like I know when they say, I know I've witnessed these interactions for myself, and he was at that train station. He did a couple of videos handing out flyers or whatever. This guy's obviously come up and attacked him, but Tommy's also conscious about the fact that he's not going to have a fair thing, and the problem is sometimes like even I know when I'm out on the street, even the other day, just that scenario we're talking about with Daniel, when those people come at you, it feels and looks different in the moment than it can on camera. So it can look and feel a lot faster, a lot more intimidating sometimes. Sometimes the opposite, but more often than not, it feels like when that guy rushed me, I felt like he was like way closer. and it kind of all happened in slow motion when you watch it. It wasn't like it was, Daniel just totally had it, right? But in the real life, it doesn't feel like that. So, like, you know, Tommy would go bang, knock him out. Now, on camera, that can look like, well, can they argue in a court of law if they hate him that was disproportionate? That's I think the fear, and he would have the fear because he would just want to see that camera, want to see that it does exonerate him and that there wasn't a blind spot and it doesn't. I have, so 100% he was confronted, attacked, and he defended himself.
Yeah.
And I hope it all goes well for him because he's got this big event coming up, and he's been getting back into it after sitting in jail for months. What I would deem as unfairly. Baz says to get Tommy on. Yeah, he'll do it. Tommy will do it. Yeah, we can do it. We'll just not be able to be on a bunch of platforms, but that's fine.
Probably just on X and Rumble.
YouTube now works. YouTube he's allowed on.
YouTube is fine. He's allowed on YouTube now.
Yeah. They gave him back his channel. Rebel did the first interview with him outside of jail. Huge, got over 1 million views when he got out. So yeah, we can have him on. I don't think Meta you're allowed him on. So we just won't run it on Meta. Anyways, Facebook's not a big one for us. It's a good idea. It's just more about the time, and the problem with him is just locking him down. But this time is usually pretty good for him, so maybe we'll do it. We just haven't been having guests on.
Yeah. Zachariah Williams, thanks for the super chat. What are your thoughts in Australia right now? So I think we've talked about this a lot, and we oppose mass immigration. Well, I do definitely oppose mass immigration, and it's causing all types of social division, and it's also having an impact on social cohesion that the government loves to try to promote with their crazy laws that they want to introduce. It definitely impacts that, and it's also, I think, impacting people who have assimilated and integrated into Australian culture, because everyone is now a target because of the government's inability to control immigration numbers and the fact that they hide, I guess, the very real impact that mass immigration has on things like the housing market, jobs market, and so on. So I think it's really bad. It's probably the worst it's been in a long time, save for the time that we had the boats coming on into our oceans and landing on our shores. Like, this is a time now that mass immigration is becoming a real massive issue. But I don't know if you saw, Avi, the Liberals have dropped their mass immigration, all that stuff that they were saying during the election, and kind of gone more so the Labour way. So the political class,
imagine my shock.
The Uni Party is not really hearing the voices of many Australians who are talking about this issue in a way that it's impacting them, and they're not being listened to.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Thank you for the super chat. There's a couple more.
Thanks, DMAC. Catholics believe that Jesus is God. Yeah, look, it's just the way it's interpreted. So obviously that interpretation is there as well. People just apply it in different ways theologically, maybe, if that's the correct word. At the end of the day, if there's God and then Jesus is the Son of God, then it's all linked. Everything is at the behest and the glory of God. So technically, all things are related in Scripture.
We got a couple more.
From Lady Patience, Jesus is fully God and fully man, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Protestants too, yes, the Messiah. So it's great to get all your interpretations.
I know. So they're saying Jesus is fully God and fully man. He's the Father. So when you say Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, that's the
Trinity.
Trinity. So the Father is his Father God, but he's the Son, or is he all three of that?
Yeah, I don't want to get into a whole theological discussion about this, but
he listen. The last line you give there is easy for me to understand. Yes, he's the Messiah.
Yes, which is the fulfillment of prophecy.
That's the fulfillment of prophecy that I understand. Thank you for the super chat and for the explanation.
John, thanks for the super chat. Avi and Rukshan are info
Informed. Abbie, could you
inform
please say my name in Hebrew? So John Michael, I would think, is Jonathan Michael. I think Michael is Michael. I think so. Yeah. There you go, Jonathan Michael. Thank you for the super chat and support.
Thanks, mate. Thanks.
I really appreciate it.
Susie, thanks for super chat. I'm converting to Judaism in solidarity with my husband after October 7th. It is a beautiful religion I'm learning.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's tough. I don't know why you'd sign up to be a Jew, no offense. God. My first wife converted. My second wife's smarter. It was a long process, very hard to convert to Judaism. So that's the thing. Unlike Christianity or Islam, Judaism, they make you work for it. They actually try part of the process is convincing you not to convert. And to be fair, I don't know why you would convert. You got all these restrictions and it's just like rules on top of rules. In fact, in Chosen, in that show, they've said something that my wife always says about the fact that Jews just have to make rules and then they make rules on top of the rules. They actually point that out, and my wife always laughs at it. And she kind of jokes, like, when we do something new, she'll be like, "Oh, I wonder what the rules are around this." I'm like, having mentioned that, but no, good luck with the conversion. I wonder where you're doing it. Are you doing it Orthodox, or are you doing it, what do they call them, liberal or progressive Jews? That's a lot easier, but the Orthodox one is really difficult.
This is from the Short Straw. Thanks for the super chat. It was a pleasure to meet you Sunday, Avi. Love your work, Rukshan. We need a church service at Fitzroy Gardens every Sunday. Jesus is King. Look, I think obviously it's nice to see that Christians turn up for these type of events. I did see comments from people saying that most Christians, especially on a Sunday, would be at church and observing religious things in that manner. And a lot of Christians are placid and don't necessarily get involved in this type of activity as well in Australia and the West. That's just my general observation. So, you would how many people were marching that day in the city for that Ashura festival, right? Thousands and thousands and thousands of Muslim Australians were marching, Shia Muslim Australians, and you had a couple of hundred maybe turn up in Fitzroy Gardens. And would they turn up again for a service? Less likely over time for it to become a common thing. But I agree with the sentiment that Christians in Australia, all around the West, should be more live out their faith more in public, because I do feel like it is under attack from many circles.
There are no real Christian event, because that's the thing. Like, that is a Shia Muslim procession, so the entire community comes out and joins in. Do you have anything that's equivalent to that in Christianity?
So depending, like a lot of the Roman Catholic countries, they'll have processions that they do for Easter or Christmas or different types of times of the year.
You see them in Jerusalem.
You see that being observed, right? Whereas here, that's less likely. The things that we do have in a country like Australia are really, moments like Easter or Christmas. But, especially Christmas, you see how commercialized it's been. And then you see the fact that, there's pushes against things like saying Merry Christmas, for instance. It's Happy Holidays. Or even during Easter, it's like, this could be offensive to have a public holiday, whatever it is, right? So we have these insane arguments about the founding religious values and the moral and ethical code of a country like Australia that's being pushed back against. I mean, we're still at a stage where there are politicians in our country who argue against having the Lord's Prayer at the start of Parliament, for instance. Like, so that we are a Christian country in terms of our foundations. But the people who are now, in charge in terms of leadership, a lot of them don't observe it in a public manner and don't, make it a big spectacle, I guess. It's not a spectacle. It is something that you obviously do as a community, but that's becoming less and less as we become more and more fractured and divided.
Abbie, thank you again for the super chat. Can you get Fred, the UK bodyguard, on? That's very interesting. You mentioned that. What's his name? I was actually watching him. I just started getting into that guy. Do you know who it is? Do you know who I'm talking? You know his name?
Is that?
He does really good videos. I'll tell you.
Is he Jewish? No.
No, but he's like.
No, I'm thinking about someone else.
No, he's not Jewish, but he's what's his name? I was just watching him. Charles Weiss. I'm pronouncing it wrong. So it's Charles and a surname Veitch. I got his number. I did just get his number because when I get to the UK, I wouldn't mind doing a day filming with. He's real good banter. His street stuff is just funny. Completely different style than what I do, but he's kind of funny on YouTube. And she's talking about Fred's his bodyguard, who you'll know, you've probably seen, where one of these guys tried to come up to him and I think it looked like he was pulling a knife, and the bodyguard leaps forward and I think it's an elbow and then a kick and then comes back up, and it's just like it looks so good that it looks staged. Daniel would love to have a chance at that. But yeah, I'm hoping to catch up with those guys at some point. I've actually got to just message him. But good idea, Abbie. Funny you mention it because I just before I was watching it while I was doing some stuff. He's very entertaining. Susie, last super chat before we get into it, says progressive. I'm too naughty to be orthodox. Laugh out loud. Look, I'm too naughty to be orthodox. The only reason why I'm orthodox is because I was born into it. I got too naughty for orthodox probably at the age of, let's say, 11. Yeah. But good luck with it. That progressive's a lot easier.
I was gonna plug your book. I was gonna say you can read all about Avi's journey for when he became naughty, from going from orthodox to naughty in rebelfromthestart.com.au.
Is it .com.au? Yeah.
.com.au, no, I don't know.
I think it's rebel from
a long time since we shilled your book.
From the start.com, I think it is. Rebelfromthestart.com. Is it also .au? Let me try that too.
I'm just hoping for some commissions from book sales. So
no, not .au. Rebelfromthestart.com. Yeah, me too. One thing I realized is writing a book is a lot of work and very little financial reward. But I do like that people, like my real supporters, people that have followed me for a long time, especially when you hear bits of my private life reported in the media, like it's good to give people the entire story. But let's get into some of the news because
we've spent the first 40 minutes just doing super.
Thank you for all the super chats, guys. Okay. That's what this is about. Okay. All right, let's just get straight into it. We've got a bunch of things lined up. I don't know if I have a specific order, but we'll go through them a bit quicker.
Good evening. The National Gallery of Victoria has been plunged into lockdown as police set up a human barricade to protect the building from protesters.
Parents and children were caught in the middle on another Sunday of protest chaos, with activists calling out the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
The National Gallery of Victoria locked down. Visitors barred from entering as hundreds of police formed a human shield.
Let this be a warning to the NGV!
Trying to work out who was a protester and who was just visiting the gallery with their family. Dozens of children stuck in the middle.
NGV, keep my eye, you're supporting genocide!
Oh, wait.
Protesters angry about the gallery's link to a prominent donor, the Gandel Foundation.
Police came and then
Alright, so that's basically the background. I'm not going to watch the whole thing because we'll get on to the next bit. So today, Tom Elliott actually interviewed the organiser of that protest. So really the backstory is they're just looking for targets. They're looking to attack somewhere and someone, and they've gone after the NGV because it's owned by a prominent Jewish... no, not owned. One of their main sponsors is a prominent Jew who, like most Jews, is a Zionist, supports the state of Israel. But he puts a lot of money in Australian arts, in hospitals, he owns a lot of stuff. And And so I guess they're going to be protesting all that. So let's just listen to this interview because it was fascinating this morning when I heard it, and I think more people need to hear it, and then we can break it down while we're listening.
Yep.
Hi, Glenn Robbins here.
And Dave O'Neill here, and we have a podcast called
Somehow Related.
we don't care,
Answer
it's
at the
crap.
Follow button wherever you get your podcast. Don't miss an episode.
Somehow Related.
Our next guest is a spokesperson with the Free Palestine Coalition, Tasnim Samak. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Tom.
Were you at the protest outside the National Gallery on Sunday?
Yeah, so we've been protesting for about 20 months for Free Palestine and the end of the genocide being perpetrated in Gaza.
But why outside the NGV? I mean, if a family is going in to look at art, why protest there?
So we were outside the National Gallery of Victoria because it's a public institution that only a few days ago we found out hosted the Israeli ambassador at a birthday for members of the Gandul family, as you explained. And to us, that is quite complicit on behalf of the gallery. But also what sparked a lot of anger, I guess, is that the gallery, due to receiving a lot of sponsorship from these Zionist connections, has decided to change the Great Hall's name to the Gandul Hall. And we just find that at the moment, in the midst of a genocide being perpetrated by the state of Israel, that is not only offensive, but that also makes us, the public, quite complicit in the state of Israel's.
But just so you know, the Ganduls are Australian, and they're very generous philanthropists. They've donated to all sorts of things. So you're saying that their donation shouldn't be accepted?
Not because they're Australian, but because they are very much part of the Israeli regime. So Ganduls are very vocal in support of not only Netanyahu, but the Israeli occupation. They do a lot of work in that area. They promote Israel financially, and they have interest in that. And so for us, that is what legitimizes them as a target.
There's a letter in the Age today from a Sally of South Melbourne who says, a woman with a megaphone claimed anyone entering the NGV thinks it's okay to hang out with fascists. You have blood on your hands and you support Zionism. And then she said, you in the hat, this was this lady Sally, you are supporting genocide by entering the NGV. Do you think it's appropriate to say to people that just because you're going to the gallery that they are fascists and genocidal maniacs and Zionists?
I didn't see that. The NGV as an institution who is complicit, not the people who are there for the art. I take my kids to the gallery, and many of the people who are with us, the reason why they're upset is because they see the gallery as a community space, and they want it to be publicly owned as it should be.
But if you take your kids there, doesn't that make you, on your logic, you're complicit in the so-called genocide?
No, it's the managers of the gallery who accepted this donation who are complicit, not the people who are there to see the art. And I don't think any of us have been vague about that.
Well, but this lady with the megaphone, one of your fellow protesters, was saying anyone entering the NGV says it's okay to hang out with fascists. You have blood on your hands and you support Zionism. So she's accusing people of going to the gallery of being genocidal.
Well, I don't think that people going into the gallery are genocidal, and that just you making this issue about that changes the conversation.
No, it doesn't. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't make the issue. It was one of your fellow demonstrators who said this.
Well, I don't support that speech. However, what I support is for the gallery to drop this sponsorship and to stop trying to change the name. It's already going to put up that new signage, and so we want to continue to campaign against that.
The first thing to note is that the idea of... Firstly, they're a major sponsor, and often when there is a sponsor because the Ganduls, there's lots of halls all over the place in many institutions that are named after them, and that kind of comes with the respect of essentially paying for them for no other reason. Like it's a recognition of the amount they must be donating, and so if you don't want them to donate because she's claiming, I don't even know, they're claiming that they had a dinner there and the Israeli ambassador was invited. And it's like, So they had a friend. I don't even know if it's true because these guys fact check it. But even if it is true, the Gandals that also there would have been a lot of Australian and state politicians, and that's just the circles in which they. And the real reason you're targeting them is because they just support the state of Israel as Jews, like most Jews, and you can pretend like. But put all that to aside. So you want the NGV, the National Gallery of Victoria, to no longer accept the Gandal money. And are you going to put it up instead? Because I guarantee you, like that whole audience, basically everybody there rallying, the vast majority of them that are rallying are on Centrelink. So not only do they not give money to our state institutions, they leech off our state institutions. In fact, Gandal pays that much tax that they're probably leeching off. They shouldn't take the tax either. It's just so moronic. They're looking for people and institutions to protest.
I mean, they move from one thing to another, right? So I think early on it started with McDonald's because of someone's.
I don't even know why they banned.
Because I think some McDonald's somewhere gave the IDF some free food or something like that. Then it was Starbucks because someone refused to serve someone that came, or they wrote something on a cup. Then it was Sarah because of some promotion that they had, and then they linked it to something, and and they've been targeting Sarah for a while. And there's been many other, obviously, they just find any brand, any type of link, any individual, in this case, people who are philanthropic and who are funding the arts, who are funding things like hospitals and other institutions. And at the end of the day, regardless of all of these things that this crazy individual is saying, this is Australia. Yeah. We live in a country where you can donate to the arts, regardless of what your background may be and what your beliefs may be. And the arts, those institutions are free to accept that contribution to help that gallery prosper and grow. And if they want to host a family name there, or they want to host a dinner for Jewish Australians or whatever it is, so what? There are plenty of places here where Muslim Australians have donated to, who are linked to, perhaps linked to terrorism back in their home countries, and extremists and things that we don't support in Australia. But because our wonderful country here in Australia supports this type of freedom, as long as it's not directly linked to terror in a legal sense, it's okay. And if you want to go there and harass members of the public, and that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
Okay, they do this
kids.
Where they harass members.
They were even kids. There was a wiggle show on. They were attacking people that were when they were saying they were chanting, saying you're complicit in genocide. It was to families taking their kids to a Wiggles event. Yeah. Insanity.
Yeah. So Australians don't necessarily need to suffer in the manner that these people want them to suffer and be degraded to like being complicit in this and that. Most Australians are not as engaged as these individuals think they are in this particular topic. And most Australians are not so racially obsessed with people's different views about foreign wars. Like, I'm not. I do it because it's a part of the news cycle. But if you ask this individual about a war that's happening in, for instance, in Africa, what your stance would be, and should this African group be giving money to this other African group because of some disagreement that we have? No, that's not tolerated in Australia. So I think, Tom Elliott is right in calling it out, because it doesn't make any kind of logical sense, the fallacies in the argument, and it just sounds ridiculous.
He does really good on this interview. Like, sometimes I feel like Tom doesn't push back hard enough. I think this one he does pretty good. Let's just quickly clean up the super chats here. Thank you, Tanya, for that super chat. And I guess you realised the Bazia tax was worth $7, so you added another $2 a minute later. Really appreciate the support. We've got here.
Okay, Williams, thanks again. Jacinta Allen doing the voice anyway. That's actually a different topic, because it came out, Abbie, that the Victorian government, I just answered this super chat, had spent around $400 million of taxpayer-funded, taxpayer money for negotiations around our state's treaty with Indigenous peoples.
Yeah, I saw.
And it's of course it's a
how much did you say it came out?
Close to $400 million.
No, yeah, and the IPA is saying it's they've crunched the numbers, but they say that that's what the state is declaring, but they're saying they're hiding about 300 more thousand through other ways. So you can look it up. The IPA actually says it's closer to 700 and something thousand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I was watching that yesterday.
That they're hiding. So look, the figure they gave was between 300 to 400 million. Like, it varies. You know how the government works. But yeah, it is a slap in the face to people that voted against the voice to parliament, which overwhelmingly was a success. Australia voted no, but the states are persisting with pushing through these treaties. And it's a voice through stealth. Eventually, the government in the future will try again to push something of the voice through and a treaty through. I don't doubt that whatsoever.
Benji says, according to those Nazis, you two are denying them their right to free speech by choosing not to debate them. Funny, yeah. So, do you know what? The thing is, and to people that are criticizing the fact that they were kicked out, is they could have gone 50 meters away. It basically, Nick had organized a specific event for a specific reason. They came there, they had their little stunt that they tried to claim wasn't part of their thing. It was obviously their little game. And you know what? Doesn't matter. Like, if I have a rally and a bunch of communists turn up and I don't want them at my event because I don't want to be associated to them, that's fine. I can ask them to leave. And that it's a park, so they can go 10 or 15 meters away. But obviously, if they're having an event right there, that's like if somebody's sitting in the park and they've got their family picnic and you just sit down in the middle. Well, I can sit in the picnic. Nick and the group had every right to get them to just move out of the space of the thing. Those guys, they love to cry about free speech, and they want the thing is.
No, Avi, I just want to correct that. They love to cry about free speech. When I've probed this online with some of them by talking back and forth, on posts and things, they will tell you free speech is only for white ethno-nationalist Australians. Free speech is not for people like me. So I don't even have free speech that they're crying about where they want to debate me or you. We don't have free speech according to them because it's only reserved for white Australians. So these people have insane arguments, and
but that's my point. Is that I feel like once you engage them once or twice, you realize like they're not acting in good faith. They're not trying to actually unpack and understand and come to. They're not. What they want is a moment so that they can post online and go, look what I said to the Jew's face. And it's like, I've heard all the arguments. I know you don't think I'm worth anything. I know that you think that, on one hand, you don't want me in Australia. On the other hand, you don't think that I deserve to be in Israel. And so then I ask you, where do I go? And you have your final solution. It's like, why should I engage with you beyond that? Like, your arguments are just insane. So there is no point in debating it except for giving you clout online. And I think people have the right to go, like, I'm not saying cancel them. I'm not saying we have to stop them from speaking. I'm saying just not at my event. I have the right, the integrity to host my own thing without you hijacking everything and making it about you. People in Melbourne, they're just as bad as the pro-Palestinians. They're just as bad as the lefties. They do the same games. What do we got?
Lee Simpson, thanks for the chat. Hey, Avi and Rukshan, my name is Lee. This is my first ever super chat. Hey, thanks for the super chat and for joining in. Thank you for attending the Christian event on Sunday at the Fitzroy Gardens.
Appreciate it, Lee, and welcome to the super chat family. Like I said, they're our chosen people.
They're chosen, yes.
I really appreciate it. Susie came back with, what will it take for protests to be banned? I hate to think they are bullying the Premier in Sydney already about... Yeah, we're going to get to that, the Bridge rally. Yeah, that's one of the stories we've got to get to. Look, I don't think protests should be banned. As much as I hate those protests, I don't think they should be banned. But I think it's come to a point where I can't see a legitimate argument anymore to not have a permit system in which we can stop them from harassing the NGV and frightening families and kids to go to events. Like they absolutely in a democracy have every right to peacefully protest as long as they're not inciting violence, chanting incitement to violence, doing it sneaky ways to incite violence. As long as they're not doing any of that and they just want to express their deluded gays for Gaza worldview, they should be legally allowed. That has to be legally protected. But at the same time, the public needs to be protected. We need to know that we could take our kids to a Wiggles concert without the fear of being attacked by a mob.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be a balance when it comes to this. Definitely, we don't need to be banning protests or stopping these individuals from protesting. I think it's good that they raise awareness of the things that they care about. Perhaps, people have different opinions about what they're raising awareness about. But, necessarily, it's not a bad thing, protesting and being a part of these movements. It's the fact that they have turned in desperation to targeting the public, really. These targeted attacks against the public is what they are. To disrupt the public is to make, get in front of them, whether it's blocking traffic, blocking roads, now at the gallery, what's next. So it gets more and more desperate over time, the way that they're going after the public. And obviously, I don't believe that the average Melburnian supports this type of chaos that they think is being done in their name. I think most people are...
Even people that are sympathetic to their cause don't
exactly.
Abbie, what are your thoughts on Kanye West? He needs to get back on his meds. He just needs his meds. That's honestly, talented, but a bad, at the moment, and in the current climate, has been a dark addition and energy and
but
a satanic force. But it's all. I think it's more mental illness. But what the effect of it is kind of encouraging, like that, because the shirt that he was actually wearing, that guy, is the Kanye West. I think it's actually Kanye West's merch.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's his merch from his song, and so that's what I'm saying. So and so now he's created this entire, and you're seeing it online as well, like black people that identify as white supremacists and Nazis. And in this case, it's clearly a guy who has a bit of mental retardation or whatever, and he's being used by this group. And you can see, because he's so simple, when you ask him, he literally is so honest about who got him to be there, and he just says Joel Davis before. Like, I didn't... That's the thing. Like, when you actually watch that in that conversation at first, I didn't mention Joel Davis or anything. He literally just said, Joel Davis, I'm here for Joel Davis. I follow Joel Davis. And so there became this crazy... And then they deny any... Because they obviously don't want to be associated to a black guy, but they've set up this little porn because he's a mentally challenged guy who's being encouraged by Kanye West, who is also, ironically, insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. Kanye West is actually one of my favorite artists of all times. He's pretty up there in terms of, his music and his art and creativity. But obviously, he's gone off the track a little bit down this path. But
a little bit.
What I wanted to say was, what Kanye was doing this maybe a few years ago, right? Before it's come to this level. I think there's people even more insane than him now. And people who perhaps Kanye is a bit more, he's out there. There's things going on in his head, and he's trying to be like create whatever, right? But there's actually sane people now, Abbie. We use this a lot. People who are political commentators, people who understand the impact of perhaps what they're doing more so than what Kanye might understand, who are fully engaged in this as well. So it's all come together. And what you alluded to before around black, African Americans even discussing their love of Hitler and Nazism. We're seeing young kids now in the age brackets between 10 and 18 years old. Even I think it was a 13 or 14-year-old individual in that particular video express their love for Hitler, what Hitler did, and actually say that more of that should be done. And these are the people who are being influenced by these kind of podcasters and so on to really I can't even say it's like a mask off thing. I think they're just completely been indoctrinated.
Yeah, it's a bit like what was it? Maybe a year ago when Osama bin Laden became the favorite fan of. It was like the loony left, like everybody, the whole young TikTok crowd started, and people started picking up the Quran and saying they're converting, they're loving.
Oh, they read his letter to America. They were
the letter to America, and then it led on to this whole online phase of people saying, like, all these even transgender activists talking about how they read it, and they've been lied to about the Quran, and now they're reading it. It's so great, and so on. Like, there is something shift in the world which is quite dark. Like, in the same year, in the same 12-month period, you go from suddenly Osama bin Laden was the good guy misunderstood to Hitler being the good guy misunderstood. Like, where are we? What has happened?
Yeah, definitely.
NGV, and we'll be back. Not just us, but many groups will be going there to try and prevent this change of name of that hall.
Should the Cabrini Hospital in East Malvern, which has also accepted a very generous donation from the Gandels, are they genocidal for doing that?
I think that all public institutions should be held accountable about what donations they accept. The NGV a few years ago was also under pressure because of contracting with Wilson Security, that is part of the companies that build and run the torture chambers of offshore detention of refugees.
Torture chambers.
And because of the campaigning,
These are the people that call it genocide. It's just understand. So when you're listening to it, understand the language that they use when they refer to Australia, and they call offshore processing torture chambers. Yep. So it's that same hyperbole, that same exaggeration that they apply to Israel as genocide, starvation. It's all these buzzwords that they can't describe something without a buzzword. And funny note, so Cabrini, like public institutions, Cabrini is actually private, but private medical institutions that rely heavily on funding from philanthropists like them, and they're one of the biggest gandals. You want them just to refuse it because little Pallywood terrorist Hamas-loving clowns who have no jobs and suck off the public team because you say we shouldn't take it. You say. By the way, funny side note is, from what I understand, Nasser Mashni's own mother is reportedly in Cabrini Hospital as we speak. There's, I've seen reports that he goes in and out of Cabrini Hospital. So it's funny, though, because suddenly when you need it, you're happy to take the Gandal money.
Yeah, I mean, look, these hospitals and these institutions serve all members of the public. And that's what we got to understand, that we live in Australia. I think a lot of these people forget that this is Australia. They talk about things like refugees and multiculturalism and things, but they want the world to be set in an exact way that they see it. You know, you can only take money from people who support their causes. You can't have refugee offshore detention. It's a torture chamber. You know, you can't have national security. You can't have border protection because it's a torture chamber. Like, it's just all over the place. And anyone that uses any type of logic to listen to what these words are and what these people are saying will discount them as being the antithesis, I think that's the correct term, of what it means to be an Australian.
They no longer contract with them. So I think campaigns against public institutions are legitimate, and clearly we had over 3,000 people with us who are members of the public who pay taxes that go to the arts.
Yeah, bullshit. I want to see how many people pay taxes in that crowd. None of them. I would say 80%. If I had to guess, 85%. I would say at least 85% are on public welfare of those weekly protests. But also, it's funny the example she gives, Wilson. So the fact that they have in the past pressured NGV to cancel a contract with Wilson because they run the so-called torture chambers. And so they, you know, if that's true, they did fold on a contract. It's very different to basically break a contract, which I bet you costs the NGV money. Well done, guys. And who does Wilson hire? Like, it's security guards. In fact, it's probably a lot of Indian security guards, to be fair. But so they cancelled a contract. Very different to cancelling a contract where they could just get another company to fill in the contract than cancelling a donor, which means half the building probably, like the reason why they would be naming that hall in their name is because they bought a lot more than that hall. Like the hall is like a plaque. So you want them to cancel the donation from the Gandals, which means there probably won't be at least half of the NG or a big chunk of the NGV. Why?
Yeah.
And if your argument is that it means that they hold any sort of power from their Zionist thing or within the NGV, dude, have you been paying attention the last 2 years in the arts world? Jews have just been. Look, do you remember the doxing of the whatever it was, the 200? I think it was
the creatives. Yeah,
creatives. Yeah, ask any creative Jew today. Most of that, most of the the creative, the arts community within the Jewish community, they used to hate me. They don't hate me anymore because they realize that everything that they hated me 5 years ago turned out to become true, and they were the first to be cancelled. Their so-called friends were the first to stab them in the back. The arts is not safe for Jews. I don't even know why the Gandals are still donating to it. To be honest, I think they should pull their money out of NGV and give it to Rebel News Australia.
I'm concerned about this, and
they should super chat it. Guys, Gandals, if you're watching this, super chat it.
That is the issue. That is the topic that I can speak to.
Okay. Do people are people who work at the gallery, are they complicit?
Well, actually, this campaign began with the workers telling us about this dinner that hosted the Israeli ambassador, and they're on our side. Many of them joined our protest and continue to give us information about what the gallery's finances are looking like at the moment.
By working there, they're taking some of that money, some of their pay effectively comes from the Gandel. So is that okay?
Yes.
No, I wouldn't.
G'day, Osher Ginsberg here. You might remember me from when I counted rope. I've been making a podcast better than yesterday.
Consider the workers complicit. Again, it's the management of the gallery, and it's also a question of the government and how it's allowing public institutions to be owned by private people who, because they have the money, they can have a door.
Sorry, it's not owned. It's not owned. They donate the money, all right? You might get your name on a plaque, but they don't own part of the National Gallery. Tell me, have you ever shopped at Chadstone Shopping Centre or maybe Northland?
So, again, you're shifting the conversation when we want to have, from our end, a conversation about the arts and influence over
sorry, I'm testing the logic of your position. Have you ever shopped at Chadstone Shopping Centre?
You can test the logic of my position. I think my
So
logic
you have
stands.
shopped there, haven't you?
Shopped there, and I wouldn't say that shoppers are complicit. I wouldn't say workers are complicit. That is not what we've claimed.
But why would you go and shop at something owned by the evil Jew John Gandel? And they're your words, not mine.
No, those are absolutely not my words. My words are that the National Gallery of Victoria is hosting the Israeli ambassador, and after that, due to a lot of donations, deciding to change the name of the Great Hall to the Gandel Hall. As members of the public, we oppose this as an anti-genocide stance, and we're calling on others to continue to raise this with the National Gallery of Victoria.
All right, will you...
But you, the thing is, Tom's too gentle because he should go, hold on, you have a problem with them, with the Gandals giving their money to the NGV as a donation so that the NGV can operate. They get nothing in return besides a plaque, so recognition for their generosity. But you think it's okay to go to Chadstone, and by going to Chadstone, you're actually complicit in giving the Gandals money. You, the shopper. How is that not worse?
It's hard to put it together, mate. She's a bit all over the place now. I think
it's because they're picking on things to protest. They're picking on things to protest.
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to find places to get themselves to be a nuisance, and they're just justifying their most ridiculous stances.
Will you protest against Cabrini Hospital?
Yeah,
just like the National Gallery, they have also taken a donation from the Gandels.
Yeah, they should be questioned about who is running our institutions and who is donating to our institutions, and why isn't the government the one that is sponsoring instead of all of these rich donors?
Well, sorry.
You might want you might want to tell because if it's true that Nasser Mashdi's mum is being treated in that hospital, why wouldn't it be true? Because Cabrini, guess what? They don't check your political views, your race, religion, gender when you come in there. They take the Gandal's money just like the NGV, and they do what they do best, saving lives, or NGV, just art. They take the money and they offer it to anyone who comes for the service. But if you think it should be protested, well, maybe you should tell Big Boss and all the Palestinians that they can't go to the Cabrini hospital when they need life-saving treatment.
Yeah, and apparently it's solely up to the government, which, some people would say, yeah, government should be providing services. But when it's lacking, or when you do have people willing to step in philanthropically to help the community by giving, we have a long history of that in Australia, where people have donated large amounts of their money, their estates, after they've passed away. Very wealthy people who have done this, who actually fill in the gaps that the government is unable to because, of their...
And the government can't. So you have a choice. Either it doesn't exist, so either NGV doesn't exist, and Cabrini doesn't exist, or we let these generous Jews chip in. What do you rather? You know what? If you don't like it, don't go there. If you think the NGV is complicit, the only way for them to exist, Cabrini, Chatston, whatever, all these institutions, if the only way for them to exist is by these generous Jews, or not Chatston's their business, but NGV and Cabrini, if you don't like it, if you want to rebel, why are you going to take that service? Why are you going to stop all those lives being saved in Victoria by killing the hospital system even more because you don't like the Jew who's sponsoring it?
Yeah, it's
don't
obvious
go.
This person just doesn't like Jews in Australia.
100%.
Donating money. They just don't like. To me, in my opinion, it comes across as this individual does not like Jews in Australia being part of.
And this is and the Gandals are actual Aussies. Gandals are Aussies. This person is a Palestinian immigrant, and this is the thing. Like, bring in more. You're importing more of this. So and this is not even the rat. This is the tame, the non-radical voice of the Palestinian community. This is like the palatable one that can talk to the West, that goes on the radio and is able to come off reasonable. And you can hear through what she's saying, her problem just is the Jews. That's it.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like, definitely. It sounds like the issue here is the Jews.
Sorry, these are rich donors. They've made their money legitimate ways. They've generously decided to put money back into public life, whether it's the arts, whether it's the healthcare system or whatever. You may not be aware of this, but we have a healthcare system which, rightly or wrongly, is not entirely funded by the government. We have private hospitals as well as public ones. The private ones do depend upon donations for a big chunk of the money they need to keep operating. So what I'm saying is, will you protest outside the Cabrini?
I think it's still a question to raise when those donors are friends with Netanyahu, who is perpetuating a genocide and who is called by the International Court of Justice for war crimes.
So should any Jewish person be allowed to donate to these institutions?
So any Jewish person is not friends with Netanyahu and complicit in war crimes. That's not what we've said.
Right.
But the Gandals are very much part of the Israeli occupation infrastructure,
Right.
and
Should a local Palestinian who supports Hamas be allowed to donate?
Good question.
I don't think we have names after Hamas in the National Gallery of Victoria.
No, I'm just asking
And I
you,
think
should...
There's no name after Israel either. It's an Australian Jew that supports Israel. So like the vast majority, 95% of Jews, 97% of Jews, it's a Jew like that. And yeah, they might have friends in the Israeli government because just like they have friends in the Australian government. But it's a good question. If you have a Palestinian or a Muslim donor who is sympathetic to Hamas, who may even know people in the Palestinian government of Gaza, should they be allowed to donate?
There are plenty of people here who support Hamas. I see the signs, right? I've seen them at demonstrations. Should they be allowed to donate? Yes or no?
That's not the topic at all.
I'm asking you because I'm sorry. If you say it's wrong for the Gandells to donate, Hamas is an evil terrorist organisation. Should supporters of Hamas be allowed to donate?
I think when we changed the Etihad Stadium's name, many people campaigned about that. People ask those questions all the time about the UK.
I'm asking your opinion. What do you think? What do you think?
I've said my opinion. My opinion here is about the protest at the NGV, and I've shared that view.
So you don't have you do have an opinion on Jewish people giving money, but you don't have an opinion on Hamas supporters giving money.
No, I have an issue with people who are complicit in genocide being allowed to have so much influence over the arts.
Well, Hamas went in, as you know, almost
what
2 years
influence?
ago, killed.
What influence? They give the money, they get nothing in return. They get a plaque. It's like that nonsense. We went through all that. But sure, and I like that deflection to Etihad, right?
Etihad.
And there was a conversation. People were outraged at Etihad, which is owned. Firstly, it's not an Australian Muslim who's bought that. It's
Qatari.
No. Etihad's the UAE. Yeah, so it's the UAE. A foreign country which doesn't have the best track record in human rights, especially when it comes to laws against gays. I actually like the United Arab Emirates, but whatever. The point is, that's a fair discussion. That's a fair debate. But you're comparing that to an individual, and also the Qataris weren't just donating it. Like for them, it was an entire business. Like it's a business model. It's advertising. Not the Qataris. The Emiratis. But here, she's comparing that to like targeting one Jew because you say firstly that he's complicit in genocide because you say he's friends with Israeli government. I don't even know what extent that is. Like, I know the Gandells are probably a lot closer to state and federal leaders in this country, probably on both sides of politics. It's just where they sit in the social ladder. I'm sure they also friends with people in America or wherever, other places they do business with, as well as, yes, Israel, but they might even be the United Arab Emirates. They might have friends there too. Like, you're targeting a Jew as opposed to an actual country.
That's true.
Kidnap people, so they started the war. Should we accept donations from Hamas support? If it's wrong to accept donations from
Hamas is sanctioned. Hamas at the moment is not sponsoring the arts in Australia.
No, not Hamas, a supporter.
Israel
of Hamas.
isn't either. Yes.
There's no supporters of Hamas who...
You are a supporter of Hamas.
Are in jail.
Should they be allowed? No, they're not. There's plenty. Sorry, that is not right. Supporters of Hamas are not in jail. A, they're still out and about in Gaza. B, there's plenty of people, I've seen them with my own eyes walking up and down Bourke Street on the weekend with pro-Hamas signs. Anyway, the fact that you can't answer that question speaks very loudly about your morality, lack thereof. Tasnim,
G'day, Osher Ginsberg here.
That was actually pretty good.
That kind of hits the nail on the head. Like, they cannot differentiate between the fact that, okay, fine, there's a war. There's people have different sides of the opinion on it, and they support different sides. But when I say Abbie, when it comes to Australia, we have people of all different persuasions in this country. So we should not be playing this game of picking favorites or telling Australians don't support Jews, giving money to hospitals because of Israel. This is complete nonsense. This is how the Middle East works. Yeah. This is how other parts of the world works. You can't take money from them because we don't like their race, we don't like their background, and so on. It's not like that in Australia, Tasman or whatever your name is. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's just jump to the next. It's a segue into the next story about what's happening in Sydney, but we'll work through it fast because there's not that much time.
Ahead with a major pro-Palestinian rally on Sunday that will shut down the Harbour Bridge. The police and the Premier have banned the demonstration, claiming cutting off one of Sydney's busiest roads could put lives at risk.
Pro-Palestinian supporters in protest mode. in the city tonight, handing out flyers for a demonstration this Sunday on the Harbour Bridge.
Doesn't matter what Min says or whatever, we can march on anyway.
It's an unprecedented step which has put them on a collision course with the Premier and police.
I wouldn't do it for any circumstances.
Chris Minns on radio this morning vetoing plans for the Harbour Bridge protest.
I'm asking the organisers to work with New South Wales Police on an alternative route.
But for the organisers, it was the Harbour Bridge or nothing.
We are protesting an unprecedented event that requires unprecedented action, which means marching on the Harbour Bridge.
And they're thinking big, kicking off at 1 p.m. Sunday, crossing from south to north, ending at the US Consulate in North Sydney.
There's going to be massive numbers out, and that is a reality that Chris Minns needs to come to grips with.
By mid-afternoon, police had joined the debate. They've supported more than 100 protests on the streets of Sydney since the October 7 attacks in 2023. But today ruled the bridge was off limits.
We cannot facilitate that protest or that public assembly this Sunday. The main rationale behind that is quite clearly public safety.
But they will close the bridge for the Sydney Marathon in a month's time.
There's about 10 months of planning that goes into that. It's not just, we don't just put a cone down in the middle of the road and blow a whistle and say, yep, you're all right to cross.
Tonight, it's a stalemate. All sides refusing to budge.
All the evidence is that when the police or the Premier try to ban our protests, they multiply in size by about 10. It's because people are outraged.
The stage is now set for a showdown in court. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
And Damien's with me, as you said.
Wait 1 second. Let's see if there was another.
Damo, it's heading to court, the Supreme Court.
Absolutely, Pete. Protest organisers say they are ready to fight and they're looking for another court victory. In October last year, police tried but failed to stop a demonstration marking the anniversary of the Israel-Gaza war. But this time, of course, it's all about the Harbour Bridge. Police will argue closing it will block emergency service vehicles from responding to calls for up to 6 hours. Of course, a Supreme Court judge, Pete, will have the final say.
Damien, thank you.
Your take.
Well, I mean, if I'm not a Sydney local, so I don't know how vital the Harbour Bridge is, but if the assessment is that it will impact emergency services if it is blocked in that manner and there is no alternative routes perhaps to save time to get to hospitals or whatever it is that they're concerned about, I mean, the judge would have a very hard decision to make there, Avi, because a crossing of a major protest across that bridge will take a large amount of time. So, you know, Australians, again, in this time in New South Wales, their lives potentially will be put in jeopardy, as well as just a typical disruption to their lives as well. And I think these protests over, 20 months now, whatever it is, by now, Australians have, heard that message. We've talked about it at length. We are discussing it on this show, Avi, night after night here in Australia. And people go to us all the time, why are you guys still talking about Israel and the Hamas and Jews and things like this? But look at the discussions that are happening out in our community. Like, they are having an impact as much as what I'm trying to say is making it the conversation. So these protests, these symbolic things that they want to do by disrupting society, I think it's more so self-serving rather than educating the public on anything.
And I guarantee
that makes sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guarantee if they succeed in court here, which will be interesting because we'll probably know by Thursday, I imagine, Thursday or Friday. If they do succeed, maybe on Thursday, by Thursday's show, we possibly will know, otherwise it'll be Friday. If they do succeed, I guarantee you they're just going to start protesting there. That's going to be their new shtick. And I don't know if it'll help them if they win this. Like, I'm in two minds about it because I want people to see what them for who they really are, and they have absolute contempt for the average Australian. This is like an alliance between the far left and the Islamists, and in Sydney there's a big, especially the Islamic community is huge. Yeah, that's why they get such massive numbers to their ones. Here we have more of the lefties are the driving force of it. And I think maybe Australians need to see what they are, see what they're about, and realise, is this what we really want to keep importing into the country? Do we really want to bring this division that's willing to go as far as fighting in court for the right to shut down the Harbour Bridge and just inconvenience everyone so we get to have our say in the particular way we want to have it. Like, why the Harbour Bridge? Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to do that? Fine, go and protest. Protest all you want about the fake famine, the fake genocide. Go and do that all you want. But why do you have to go to the front of the NGV and scare the crap out of families and stop them from going to Wiggles concerts? Why do you have to block the entire Harbour Bridge, which in this case, I think it sounds like the argument from the emergency services is that it stops their traffic for up to 6 hours where they can't move emergency services through that bridge. So why do you have to do all of that?
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of this international protest movement, and this is an international protest movement. This is very highly organized. It's well organized. It is a part of the, for a force like Hamas involved in currently, because they're getting their asses handed to them. Hamas, I'm talking about the terrorist organization. They're in a weaker position, obviously. So what they need is this publicity internationally, put pressure on international governments, like we see in France, for them to budge, and then make all types of concessions, making it easier for Hamas to continue this on, even though they themselves militarily, you look at them as a military force, have greatly deteriorated. And one thing that Trump always talks about, even when he rebuked Macron for recognizing the state of Palestine, for instance, is the fact that this actually hinders this war coming to an end. It actually slows that process down. And the only people that this type of thing really benefits, I believe, at the end of the day, is that terrorist organization. I don't think it benefits Palestinians the way that he's saying that we're going to raise awareness. This has gone on for a long time. None of it has actually benefited the people in Palestine, even if you listen to what these protesters are saying, and that is because Hamas is still there. And they need this apparatus of international outrage. They need to create these scenes of having people on the Harbour Bridge, having lives in Australia inconvenienced. They need that to propagate the fact that, that we have to put pressure on Israel. We have to put pressure on the Americans and the Trump administration, really. They're the two key players. But both of those administrations, Israel and the United States of America, are not budging. And if you listen to the language of Trump, who I think is a key player here, he is going as far as to say, that the way that Hamas is treating these ceasefire negotiations, for instance, they're making grave mistakes. And it's almost getting to the moment of gloves off. So it's a desperate plea by the Hamas through this vessel of protesters they have around the world to put pressure. That's the only thing that they have left, is holding the hostages, right? They hold off 50 hostages still. Surrender the hostages if you're losing the war and you claim that all these things are happening to your people. Surrender the hostages. At least give that PR victory against Israel by surrendering the hostages. You won't do that. So you surrender the hostages, but also stop, holding the rest of us around the world hostage as well, which is what they're doing as well, really, by doing these protests week after week to disrupt the lives of Australians. Now, people might not be happy with my opinion because they'll, get swept up in the emotional takes, again, propagated by this Hamas terrorist organization that won't give up these hostages, about, aid and, propagated by organizations like the UN, who have a track record, really an abysmal track record of siding with terrorist organizations and against the West in many instances. So this is all interconnected, and we have to see it in this larger picture, that this is a desperate attempt, again, by Hamas and Hamas-aligned individuals in Australia and these radical leftist extremist, political movements in Australia, that somehow, Australia is like, evil country, we're colonizers. Hamas are these, legends, they're great, and we have to look them at an equal status. They're not. They're a terrorist organization, and what Donald Trump is especially doing, I think, by not bending the knee of these terrorists and putting them in their place, is the way that we have to be. I went on a bit of a rant there.
No, I'm with you.
I think it's important to let people know that a lot of this protest that you're seeing is actually a part of the Hamas war effort. This is the MO of terrorists when they've lost everything else and they no longer have the capability. They need the sympathy and the international pressure to keep their terrorist movement going by making countries take the knee like France did.
Yep. All right, let's pivot to a completely different subject on tonight's schedule.
Pauline Hanson, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
This urgency motion this afternoon,
Yeah.
This was
talk us through the reasons behind it.
I think it's very important. One Nation have opposed this net zero right from the very beginning. Get out of the Paris Agreement, get out of net zero. It's destroying our country, the economy. It's destroying the farming sector, the cost of living rising, small businesses going under, industries manufacturing, and the families can't afford the high electricity costs.
And you're moving that urgency motion to put the heat, excuse the pun, but you want to put the pressure on the coalition.
Too right I am.
On the Senate.
That's exactly why I'm doing it. Why do you think the coalition are moving now and they're getting behind it? Yes, you have these people that are opposed to it. Colin Boyce, they've opposed it, and Matt Canavan, they have opposed it, but they've done nothing about it. The last election has shown that One Nation is scooping up some of those conservative votes out there because people are fed up with this net zero, where we're headed, and they've got to counteract that.
Do you think that your move, because it was in the papers at the weekend, but then you've seen Garth Hamilton, others, Liberal members alongside Barnaby Joyce, do you think that it's having an effect already, your pressure on them?
Well, to get rid of net zero, yes, it is, because they've now got a bit of a voice in Barnaby Joyce to stand up to it. But how are the moderates and the progressives in the Liberal Party going to go with this? Remember, this is a coalition, and that's been my job, to actually put pressure on them to go back to their core values. Don't keep thinking you're going to appeal to the moderates or there's the Green voters or the Labor voters. You won't get them on board. We've got to look at the impact it's having on our country, and that's what I've been saying for a long time. Families are suffering because of this. We've paid out about $50 billion in subsidies. We've got international companies coming here and superannuation schemes subsidised by the government, the taxpayers, and they...
All right, so they voted yesterday on her motion to scrap net zero by 2050 policy, and there was... What was it?
Well, I mean, there was little support for her. It was just some of the Nationals and some of the other minor parties.
No, so I think two Liberal, two Nationals, two versus two voted for, two voted against, and the rest... there was a good speech in Parliament. I saw it in the news, but basically, and the rest didn't bother voting. But that just shows you what the problem in the Liberal Party, in the coalition at the moment is. They're struggling because, well, that only indicates two of them support it, and the rest of them are really against it. That's why they're not bothering to show up to vote, or they're actually actively against it.
Yeah, I mean, the leader of the opposition came out today and pretty much, nipped it in the bud. And she wasn't really talking about Pauline Hanson. They were going on about the Nationals. So within their own coalition, because Barnaby Joyce also introduced something, a private members bill with a similar, thing to what Pauline Hanson's trying to do as well. So it's lockstep in terms of Labor and Liberal when it comes to this net zero thing at the moment. And I don't know. I don't even know if the electorate really has an appetite for this discussion at the moment as well, because it is kind of getting nowhere. But I understand what Pauline Hanson's saying about. Of course, there's so many impacts of this, and I don't know if you saw, Abbie, that Labor had one of their new youngsters, 21-year-old senator from South Australia, say some things about Hanson in the Senate yesterday. Talking about the importance of net zero and climate, things that she could possibly not have any idea of.
Yeah.
In terms of her experience, but they are fully beholden to this particular policy, and I think it's going to be very hard to wrangle it out of the hands of the Labor Party and the Liberals.
Yeah, I agree, but I do agree with something that she's saying is that they're actually going to keep scooping up Conservative votes the more they refuse to listen to the Conservative base of the Liberal and National Party. That's what's going to happen because people don't want this. All right, but just like it's boring for the voters, it's boring to discuss, but I fully support Hanson's push and Barnaby's push, to be fair, at the moment. The Liberal Party need to wake up to themselves, but they seem to be going down this woke road, just following Labor, letting Labor lead. Instead of leading with strong opposition, they're just following Labor, and it's sad to watch. Let's read one super chat.
Thanks, King of Corn. Thanks for covering news the mainstream failed to. Yeah, look, I mean, we try to do that with some of the stories. Obviously, a lot of this is also mainstream news, isn't it, Avi? I think it's also about giving those different angles and perspectives on news as well. I think that's important because sometimes the news is actually covered by the mainstream, but they'll only give it to you in one direction or a particular, curated view that is approved. So it's good to have different varying views and opinions. So thanks, King of Corn, for the super chat and participating in today's show.
Guys, we're coming towards the end of the show. Make sure to hit that like, smash that share. And if you want your super chat read, to get involved in the chats that's scrolling below us. But if you want to, that's on YouTube. So whether it's Rukshan's YouTube or my one, those are scrolling underneath. And if you want us to read yours, like we're reading here, King of Corn, and all the other great super chats tonight, make sure to send that soon, a super chat, and that way we are very grateful as well for your support. And we've had a bunch tonight. Really appreciate each and every one of you. All right, my favourite one of the night before we get on to our last story.
Americans, when are you going to do it? Why isn't it already done? Every day there's another happening, right? Awful for your country. Awful, right? Why don't we redirect this energy to something else? You know, there's all these incels that are going, oh my God, fuck me. So they go and do, you know what would actually make people respect you a little bit and make people want to fuck you? Is if you did it. You get heaps of fan mail. Oh my God. Just do it. Like, you're all doing it every day anyway. Like, I don't fucking get it. Like, what?
So, she's calling on somebody to murder the president of the United States. Like, this is the person that is taking that seriously, that the Prime Minister, the so-called tolerant left Prime Minister, who says we need to turn down the heat and have much more inclusive dialogue and adult conversation about politics. He sat on her platform. He legitimised her. And he won't say a word about the fact that she literally went onto TikTok to call on somebody to murder Donald Trump.
Yeah, she's definitely
wild.
Yeah, she's definitely a problem in the sense politically for people that have supported her. Albanese, the Greens. I think she was kind of a de facto type spokesman for them during the election. And this bad kind of bad girl image that she tries to portray by acting all tough. How much of contrast is that, Avi, to like a few months ago when she was bawling her eyes out over Clementine Ford, right? We covered that as well. And now she's talking about killing people and, pushing people towards assassinations of the President of the United States of America. So this is a deeply unhinged individual. This psychosis that she's, using when she's portraying herself on TikTok and Instagram, wherever she does, is, I think, dangerous to the youth of this country, who a lot of people follow her. And also just in general, where this is being normalized now by these groups, where it's like, if it's on the right-hand side of the political spectrum, if it's a conservative, if it's Donald Trump, if it's MAGA, let's kill him, right? It's come to that now. And apparently, that's like the trendy thing to do. I haven't even looked at actual statistics of this video, Avi, but I'm sure there would have been a lot of comments on there in support of her and also liking what she's done as well.
Sure.
Even though, sane people like me and you and other, sane people who are most likely watching our show with us would look at that and be like, that is a serious threat on life of Donald J. Trump. And it's being actively promoted by a so-called celebrity here in Australia.
Oh my God, Genevieve is so right. How funny. I knew the name. And I forgot. Tasmin Samak, so the one that he interviewed, the leader of the pro-Palestinian whatever, married Mohammed Sharab, which is the alleged kidnapper and torturer, and, the one that got charged and found guilty for attacking you and me.
That's
he assaulted me. That guy assaulted me as well. He tortured me as well on the streets.
And his
that's the guy.
And his wife, I'm pretty sure it's her that was there that day when he in my face, and then she tried to she was screaming crazy shit at me, and he was telling her to get back, and I was like, whoa, he really controls it. Holy moly, it's her. And she's an absolute bum. Her husband doesn't work at all. They're total bums. They're on Centrelink. They came here as immigrants. We opened it, and all they've done for the last 2 years is sow division, attack people on the streets, violent, and they're complaining about the Jews that are donating to hospitals. That's who we're talking about. In Arabic. Wow. All right. Thank you for that, Genevieve, for the super chat and for making that click in my head. All right, last stories of... All right, so the big story internationally, that's our last one. I've got a few clips for it that I thought were most suitable. Donald Trump, in no particular order, Donald Trump met Keir Starmer today, and there were so many good moments. I've got a few. Let's just react to a few of them.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Minister, the President makes it look easy dealing with illegal migration. You must be envious of his record in such a short period of time.
Well, I think we've been discussing irregular, illegal migration is a huge issue in both of our countries. In the United Kingdom, it is a real cause for concern, and that's why we must bear down on it.
The President makes it look easy.
That's right. And I did watch longer parts of the clip where he's talking about how they're taking it seriously. And he was really like, it's so bizarre to suddenly see, Keir Starmer and the Labor Party talking about migration. Not, these are all the people that were condemning. Remember, when I was there in 2016, they were condemning Trump's migration rhetoric and all of that, and saying he's basically a Nazi for wanting to stop people from coming in. Now, in this meeting, he was talking up his successes in there's another clip where he's saying how many thousands that they've stopped from coming in or deported, how many they've deported. And I'm like, wait, what? What is his shift? That instead of going, no, that's not the way we do anything, they're going, no, I'm as good as Trump. I'm as good as Trump.
Yeah. I mean, look, I just got to set the whole scene for people that are watching this. Trump is pretty much the king of England at the moment, the king of the UK, in terms of even how that whole meeting played out, Abbie. Like the Prime Minister of the UK had to come to Trump. It wasn't like Trump was visiting.
On in his golf course or something. Is that that one?
Wherever. So they came to Trump, and then obviously Trump just handled the situation brilliantly, put Keir Starmer in his place straight away on topics like immigration and really the reality of what we're seeing in Europe and what someone like Keir Starmer is struggling with to manage the immigration issue. And, that contrast is, I think, it's very clear for people to see now. Yeah. The success that Trump is having with these clearly stated policies around immigration and the effectiveness of just taking action on these issues, as opposed to someone like Keir Starmer who pretends to care about it and do things, but we're seeing still the ineffectiveness. If you look at the community disharmony around, refugees or asylum seekers in these lush hotels in Britain and the protests that we're seeing. So, two very contrasting figures, and I think the British media really, it was tough for the UK Prime Minister because they really knew that someone like Trump would answer honestly. And that's what we got during this meeting, and we'll see it in other videos, I'm sure, as well.
I picked a few out that kind of just looking at some highlights.
Will you visit London during the state visit?
I will. I'm not a fan of your mayor. I think he's done a terrible job. The mayor.
Look at Keir Starmer.
But a nasty person. I think he's done. I think he's a friend of mine, right? No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Sadiq Khan. But Abbie, look at that. Go back to that image, right? I think that's maybe some other people have brought this up as well. This is what our Australian Prime Minister is terrified of. This particular setting.
Yeah,
Albanese is a Keir Starmer. He is in that vein and in that light.
Probably even more embarrassing because he's like he will be in this little like Starmer at least I don't know in comparison I'm saying so Starmer to Trump looks like he's just squirming and suffering and a little man, but Albanese is a boy compared to Starmer. So like imagine that to Trump. It's going to be. He's terrified of it, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, he's terrified. I mean, you can imagine Donald Trump talking about Kevin Rudd or Australia's relationship with China, for instance, and he doesn't hold back. I mean, he called the mayor of London, the capital city of the UK, whatever, the biggest city, whatever, a nasty person in front of the Prime Minister of the UK,
and that he's doing a bad job, and
he's doing a bad job.
Keir Starmer had he had to suck up.
He didn't even defend Sadiq Khan. Let's be fair. He said, I know him. That was it. He didn't even defend and jump in and be like, hey, you can't talk about our mayor like that. He's done this and that. He had nothing to say to it. And he got totally owned by Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. So here, got a super chat about this specific issue.
D-Mac, thanks for the super chat. Maybe Trump is holding out on his meeting with Albo to present us with a Christmas gift. I mean, I would love for even Trump to visit Australia and make Albo come to Trump at some place, wherever it is. That would be hilarious as well.
I know we shouldn't be like rallying in support of a foreign leader absolutely embarrassing our leader, but I am for it. I'm there. I will buy front row tickets. Okay, so speaking of squirming, somebody did a video where they like just zoomed into Starmer's face for a period while he squirms.
Wants to cut taxes as much as he can, and politics is pretty simple. It's I assume there's a thing going on between you and Nigel, and it's okay. It's two parties. But generally speaking, the one who cuts taxes the most, the one who gives you the lowest energy prices and the best kind of energy, the one that keeps you out of wars, he's kept you out of wars, but the one that keeps you out of wars, you have a few basics, and you can go back 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years, whoever does these things, but low taxes, keep us safe, keep us out of wars, no crime, stop the crime, and in your case, a big immigration component, because I know that your attitude has become strong on immigration, strong on the toughness of immigration. But I think whoever's going to be, I think I won because we had a lousy president. To be honest with you, we had an incompetent president. But I won because I was very strong on immigration. Now we had inflation, we had sort of a bad economy with this guy. We had a lot of problems, but I focused on immigration more than I did anything else. And I think I won because of immigration. I think I won because of the border. I had a bad border where millions of people were coming in to our country illegally. And as you know, in
dying
last
inside,
month, 0 people came into our country illegally, 0. So we went from a bad, incompetently run border to the most competently run border that anybody's ever seen.
So funny. It's satisfying to
us. It's brilliant to see. It's so satisfying. And he did that to the leader of the EU as well, just a couple of days ago. And, Trump does not care who it is. There's not many equal to him when they're in the room with him. And you see that they are unable to challenge Trump at these moments and stand up for themselves. And what does that tell you about these countries and the type of leaders that we have in our countries where can't even stand up for their own policies or their own country? Like, he doesn't even, these leaders don't even believe in their own policies to be able to rebuke what Donald Trump is saying sometimes. It's insane.
It is a wild thing here. Let's one more clip I've got here for us from today's historic meeting. This one's only a short one, and it's probably the most laughable.
The importance of free speech today.
Well, free speech is very important. I don't know if you're referring to any place in particular. Perhaps they are, but
we've had free speech for a very, very long time here, so we're very proud about that.
What's the importance of free speech today?
The joke of that answer. How many people are sitting in jail for posts on Facebook, on social media? The UK is known at the moment for literally jailing people for saying for wrongthink these days. Comedians are getting done. Like, it is beyond a joke that he would claim such a thing. And
but Trump is so on point. You see, like, he's like, I don't know if they're talking about someone in particular, and he kind of looks in that direction. So he's just a master in this art. And you're right, UK is having a massive issue with free speech. They're censoring the internet. They're having these Online Safety Act, which makes people verify their age, and that's causing certain issues. People are using VPNs now. Now there's talk about from government people saying that we should ban VPNs or restrict the use of VPNs and things like this. So UK is at the forefront, of, just like Australia, of taking away people's rights on the internet to access information freely and debate and discuss topics, whatever they like, amongst themselves and criticize government. That is being stamped out in the UK. 1984 is happening in the UK, and for Keir Starmer to stand there and be like, actually, no, we have a lot of free speech here. I mean, Trump knows he's full of crap, and he's playing to the audience by obviously, indirectly pointing out that, we're in the UK where there isn't any free speech. It's great.
Wild. No self-awareness. All right, a couple super chats before we close tonight, guys. If you want to get your super chats in, now is the chance before we end tonight's session. You've got a massive one here from Shelby Apple, $79.99, and it was a dancing that's describing like the meme thing that came out.
We saw the Shiba. I saw the Shiba dog. We actually saw the meme.
Yeah, it was jumping on the screen.
Thank you. That's an amazing super chat, Shelby Apples. Thank you so much.
Shelby Apples. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner for tomorrow. The kids, everyone's getting for that one. That is a generous super chat. Amazing. What else have we got? We have Baz, our regular Baz. What does Baz say? Hal the Orange Emperor. God bless him. I'm with you on that. I do love Trump.
Trump is a champion. He's a champion of all peoples, Avi. You have to understand. There are people in the UK right now so happy that Donald Trump is holding their leader to account, because people within the UK, other leaders, the opposition, so and so, have struggled to put these people in the spotlight like this. It's taken Trump to champion their causes. So yes, all hail the Orange Emperor. God bless him.
What's funny is, like, he's, for good or for bad, he literally just says what's on his mind. It's like today.
Yeah.
I was watching ABC was talking about obviously the starvation in Gaza, blah blah blah. That's the new buzzword, and suddenly they're like, even Donald Trump says there's starvation in Gaza, and I just found it so funny because these are the guys that don't believe a word Donald Trump says. But when he speaks off the cuff and just, he was just saying how, yeah, I can see it looks like there's some real starvation there. Like, not a proper analytical report that he said. He's just like, I've come across things on social media that look like it's starving. And of course there is.
I mean, look, there's no context around it, because actually Trump actually gives, if you listen to Trump enough,
he says he gives massive aid, and nobody talks about what he does give together. But the thing is, I love Trump because I love the fact that he says whatever he's thinking, but it's up to the individual to analyze the value and the importance of what he's saying. Like, the people that hang on every last word Trump says, for good or for bad. When he says he's going to take over Gaza and put a Trump tower there, boom! Supporters of Israel going, oh my God, amazing, and haters going, oh my God, he's good. That is a ethnic cleansing or whatever. It's like, dude, chill out, stop. Like, he just says things half the time. It's like almost his process, and so the same goes as like I saw that. What's Peacock in Parliament? Is he?
Oh yeah,
in the Senate. Is he in the Senate?
He's an independent,
senator. Is it independent senator? Yes, I saw him today, and he's literally using Trump as his thing, going, Trump is saying this stuff. That guy dismisses everything else Trump says. Yeah. And it's like...
And Trump is... If you listen to what Trump said again, Avi, he is saying pretty much that Israel should go further. They're not going far enough.
I know.
That they shouldn't have given it to Hamas in the first place.
But they're not. They're picking what they want, and they're saying, Trump. They're still saying Trump's a nutcase, but at least he's saying that there's starvation. So confirms what we're saying, the allegation we're making, because that's what's happened. Like this whole war, how many times has Gaza ended? Like how many times is everyone dying in Gaza? It's like every single time, 48 hours is going to be 20. Like it's happened so many times, and so the latest narrative is starvation. So they do and the media is just pumping out this story over and over. Like the funniest is today I posted on X. You literally have a fat Gazan a journalist posing about the famine in Gaza. And I'm like, dude, go to Africa. You want to see real famine? There's places in Africa wherever, and it turned out like the main photo they were using to push this narrative was like a sick Gazan kid in a European hospital because of a disease he has nothing to do, like a genetic disease. And
I don't doubt that the
100%.
Innocent people in Gaza are suffering, particularly the women and children who are innocent, even young men who are innocent and who have been caught up in all of this.
100%.
Like that's definitely happening, and we see the footage of the airdrops, for instance, where there's kind of militant like terrorists around and people are fighting over food, and it's not great to see. It's not good to see, but in all of that, the organization that bears the most responsibility still, again, also in Trump's mind, are the Hamas terrorists. They hold the keys to the freedom of their people in terms of what the West would accept as a ceasefire, what the Americans and the Israelis would accept, and that would really change the dynamics, freeing the hostages, for instance. But they will not do this.
They won't.
So it is a problem, and
they won't do it because they got useful idiots. They got useful idiots around the world who will advocate for their cause by focusing on only Israel instead of going, hold on. All you got to do to save your own people you purport to care so much about that you're condemning Israel for harming is release those hostages and lay down your arms. That's all. You can end...
Because the release of those hostages would put ultimate diplomatic
listen,
pressure on.
I think if they just released the hostages, it would be over. They wouldn't... they could probably even get away with now because there's so little support... Trump will, if they gave all the hostages back tomorrow, it would be over just because Trump will be like, nah, that's it, we're done. What is it? Bandsaw Bandit says Israel's image is in the toilet, self-inflicted. Well, yeah, look.
This war is not necessarily about PR victories. So
that was what I was about to say. Is I agree. Israel has. It's in my lifetime, I haven't, so since 1980 or since the 1990s, I've always known, like the Arab community, I've always felt the same sort of hate we feel broadly, yeah? But Israel has suffered a massive hit for its image. But let me tell you a little secret, mate. To Israelis and to Jews and to anyone that loves Israel and thinks that it believes in its right to exist, and its right to self-defense, but more than anything, its right to exist. They'll say to you, yeah, it hurts to see its image cop such a hit, but guess what? We rather watch it have a bad lose the PR battle than the real war. It doesn't help to be... So like after October 7, for 2-3 days, everybody was sympathetic with Israel. Before Israel fired anything back, everybody was... Or not everybody, sorry. We saw the Opera House and most of the Arab world was already blaming Israel for October 7 by October, by October 7, October 8, October 9. But like the rest of the people that we're talking about here, where they've really copped the PR hit. But... So if you're telling me the only way Israel's going to have your support is as long as they're dying, and they're losing, and then the country, its survival is at risk, well, your support doesn't matter because it's more important for them to survive, and that's what that's what it all comes down to in this. I know it's like as somebody who loves Israel and watching it from somewhere like Australia where there has been this massive explosion both on the left, on the right. Like I said, the Muslim community has mostly agreed on it already. But within our regular Aussie population, this explosion of hate for Israel, it does hurt me to see. But if I had to choose today which route to take, the one of survival and be hated, so survive and be hated, or potentially the demise, but people remember you and go, oh, those poor Jews, what they suffered in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Jews just don't want to be that anymore. They don't want, like, it's all great to tell. And even the Holocaust, like, look at us now. What are we, 80 years on, and people are ready, like, it's popular to deny it or to question it. So I don't think Jews accept that anymore. They don't care. And we don't care if you hate Israel anymore. What we care about is its survival, its ultimate survival. And Trump also gets that, I think.
Yeah, and they're fighting against a force that does not care about PR.
No. Well,
you're fighting a terrorist force that does not care about the fact that they took hostages. I'm saying at the most basic level. Not the fact that they do propaganda, but at the most basic level, you are fighting a terrorist organization that thinks that the bargaining chips are civilian hostages in most cases, including dead babies that they've taken. And you might compare the numbers. You might say, it's 1,200 people and then this many people. It's not about that. You don't capitulate to terrorists. You don't make it okay for terrorists to be like, oh, we're going to take civilian hostages and then we're going to negotiate with you on our terms. That's not how it works, and that's how Donald Trump.
And let me tell you a little secret: if Israel didn't take them on, the numbers would be flipped. If Hamas had a chance, the numbers would be tenfold on Israel's side because they would be targeting civilians. If Israel doesn't hit Hamas put an end to this Hamas threat, eventually the numbers they go that way because they want to inflict that pain. They do want to target civilians. So what I'd say to people,
don't start wars you are incapable of finishing, and then hold your own population hostage as well as hostages from the other side. This is literally what's happening. Let's be honest about what's going on here. If you're getting your ass handed to you in a war, surrender. That's what many countries have done. That Japan surrendered. People surrender. It's okay to surrender if you can't do it. If you want to continue it on, then you're putting your own people in your harm's way. And at the end of the day, as the elected government in that region, Hamas being, whatever people say, and a lot of people seem to support them overseas, they are ultimately responsible. A lot of what people are putting at the feet of Israel should be put at the feet of Hamas. And I think Donald Trump is doing that, and he understands that. And I think that's the most important player in this game is the United States of America. And as of now, they are not negotiating with terrorists in the way that the terrorists will get the upper hand.
I see my chat's laughing at your chat because they're saying Rukshan has some loser lefties in his chat. Look, I don't know. I don't even think it's that. I think that there's people for different reasons who are being fooled by whatever narrative. So whether it's on the right, like I see some of the greater Israel, it's a great Israel. Mate, let me just tell you, you don't know what the hell you're talking about when you talk about Israelis. They withdrew from Gaza. They don't care. Like, Israelis would have been happy for Palestinians to have a thriving Singapore in Gaza. You don't know what, when you're repeating things like the greater Israel, get your head out of Candace Owens' ass. She doesn't know what she's talking about. You're listening to somebody who thought the Muslim quarter in Jerusalem was the only place Muslims could live in Jerusalem. You're listening to people who have zero idea about what's really going on there. They're taking little bits of information from different things individual people have said and painting it into this Greater Israel Project. The first time I freaking heard about the Greater Israel Project is from you idiots on the internet. It's not actually a thing that Israelis want. They're not fighting for that. They don't care about that. They just want to live in peace on the tiniest little piece of land.
Yeah, but forget all of that. All of these people are living.
It's your chat.
They're all living in countries which are a part of the Greater British
Empire. That's true.
That's the greater colonial project of the West.
That's true.
The former colonies of the West.
That's
They're living in these countries and then crying about Greater Israel, even if whether it's true or not doesn't matter.
But it's not. But you're right. You're right. I don't even know why I'm arguing. I don't know why I'm arguing. All right. Anyways, that was funny. Let's go. This is the last super chat, unless somebody gets it by the time you finish reading it.
For another super chat, mate. Trump is very clever, sending messages as he speaks, guiding leaders to accountability without crossing the line. Genius. Yes, he doesn't directly attack them because he wants to work with them.
I don't know how you say he's not crossing the line. He's crossing the line like a king. Like he's just walking across those lines.
Yeah, but it's not like he still wants them to negotiate with him. So
Yeah.
Keir Starmer, you're a nasty person. He might say that later. He might say that after he's out of office. But for now, he's a useful idiot that can trade deal with.
Listen, the art of the deal is his game, and I love watching online. When he says I've stopped 6 wars or whatever, and it's triggering the lefties. But if you look, it's true. Almost once a month, there's a war that sparks, and he ends it quick. What do we have? We had
Thailand,
India, Pakistan, Cambodia, Thailand.
Cambodia, Thailand.
So India, Pakistan, Cambodia, Iran, Israel, and I love the ones that say, "Oh, well, America started that war." It's like, no, Israel did that. And Trump ended it a lot sooner than Israel wanted to finish it. I guarantee you. What else was there? There was
2 African countries, I think. Rwanda,
oh yeah, no one cares about that. That was black people. There was no demonstration about that one. No one cares. No, I don't even know the names. Nobody cares. It's like almost once a month there's a conflict sparking up, and within 24 hours they're giving him credit for ending him. It's incredible. Anyways, mate, thanks for a good evening. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in tonight. Make sure before you leave, smash that like button. Help the algorithms. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to get the notifications when we go live. And share it on your way out. People can catch up on this on the episode. And if they enjoy all the shit you give us, maybe they will also subscribe. Where can people find you, Rukshan?
Yeah, guys, you can find me on X at The Real Rukshan, on YouTube at The Real Rukshan, and Facebook as well at the same namesake. You can join me as well tomorrow night if you guys want to watch. I do a show probably around 9 p.m. My own show, Rukshan on X, if you want to watch that. And then obviously we'll be back on Thursday.
That's for all the people that complain about me being here. They can enjoy the show without me. That's tomorrow night.
But usually the first comment I get when I start that stream, one of the first comments I get is Abbie on the show, or glad Abbie's not on today. So I don't know. We have different audiences that, for whatever reason, some of them like to watch me with you and some of them like to watch me without you. But I've never seen when you do a solo show, everyone's always asked, where is Rukshan? I wish Rukshan was here. So
it's true.
I think it's just one-way traffic, Abbie.
It's true. Listen, guys, if you think I should do a show without Rukshan, no, not doing it. Guys, follow followAbbie.com. You can find all my links to the socials there. I've actually started doing TikTok lately, so I might even add that. I don't have it on there because I never really did TikTok, but I've just joined the Chinese. And
you join TikTok. It gives you might end up in a political party, maybe in government if you do a bit more TikTok.
I might get kicked off it, but whatever. We'll give it a chance. It's some of my just got. That video I posted today has got 324,000 views. That's done pretty well. Wow. That Nazi one. And the one from last week. So it's actually getting millions of views. All right. So you can check out TikTok. I don't know how long it'll last, but give it a crack, eh? Otherwise, Thursday night, same time, same place. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely.
Message to Benji. Fix the video. There needs to be more. Benji, you got to clean up. We need a new intro video, a bit more of me and Rukshan. Only needs to be about 7 minutes. Get every clip that me and Rukshan are in. Every clip.
Yeah, definitely.
Me and Rukshan, take the best line of me and Rukshan. Got it?
That's right. Got some homework.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone. Take care.